Welcome to Digger's Guide to Making Routes in Basecamp. Routes that will be compatible with Garmin GPSs and enable things like auto recalculation without it all screwing up. So I've not rehearsed this, so let's give it a go. You can start with nothing and create your route, or you can use your trackback facility on your GPS. So you do your ride out, plug your GPS back into your computer, and you can take an activity log. So I've already done that, and I've got one here. So it's a route from Southampton Harley-Davidson to Museum of Army Flying. So don't need a track, but I'm going to find it useful so I can check where the route's going. So what I'm going to do is, rather than create a fresh route, I'm going to convert this one into create route from selected track. So a track is just a set of GPS coordinates. You can't use it for routing on the Garmin GPS. It basically is, at this point in this time, what you need is a route, which basically is the roads that you're going to go along, rather than just the coordinates. So now we've got a route. Where does it put the route? Let's have a look. Okay, let's put it. The route is put here in the same folder. So I'm just going to move that over to demo folder. Create a new list. Yes. So that's right. That route isn't attached to a list. So this is. I'll just call it demo. So a list is a bit like a GPX file. So, and in this list or GPX file, it's got the track, and it's also got it's got two waypoints, beginning and end. I don't need those. I'm going to delete them. Generally, I think it's a good idea to delete waypoints when you're doing route with your routes. You just end up with waypoints all over the place, and it just becomes messy, complicated. You end up having to delete them off your GPS, etc. So if I just delete those, I just highlight and press delete. Right. So if you have a look at this route. What we've got here is we've got the beginning and we've got the end. First thing you want to do is give it a good name, not just whatever you happen to click on. So this is Southampton Harley-Davidson. Click start like that, and this is the end. So this is and like that. The reason for giving them names is when you use it on your sat nav, it's much clearer, much easier, especially if you're sharing your GPX file with other people. If it's got a clear name, not just A123 or whatever, then you know, then they're absolutely clear. So I'm going to close that. You saw there was only 2 points there, beginning and the end. It is shaped how we want it to be shaped. However, if you use that GPX as is, straight into SatNav, the second that you deviate from the route, it's going to recalculate and it's not going to take the route you want. So what you need in here is something called shaping points. Shaping points are like waypoints, but key point is that they will auto skip if you deviate around them, unlike waypoints, and they won't alert you that you've arrived at that point, unlike waypoints. So and waypoints can be in the route itself, or they can be outside the route. It's outside the route where they end up ending up being listed everywhere, and you have to delete them all over the place. If you keep all your points within the actual route itself, like this here has got a T on there, much neater, much tidier. That's what we want to do. So I'll show you. This is what will happen if you deviate. It will auto recalculate on the fly and end up with a completely different route. Okay, this time it hasn't given a different route. Never mind. Trust me, your sat nav will end up taking you up here, for example, that kind of thing. So what we need to do is put in the shaping points, and I'm going to use the track as well for an overlay. So I'm going to just move. I'm going to put the track in the demo GPX file. When you import that GPX file to your GPS with a track on, it just ignores it. So there's no problem here. But I'll put it there so that I'll be able to see it overlaid. You'll see why shortly. So to insert shaping points, you can either use this one here. If this tool isn't there on your default setting, you need to go to view somewhere or other and turn on the toolbar. But we're going to use a keyboard shortcut which I learned from Roger, which is holding down Alt instead. So I'm going to stick a waypoint. Let's start with waypoint in the middle. So hold down Alt, and we click like that, and actually what I'm going to do is zoom in first. So hold down Alt and then click, and it's going to insert a shaping point there. It's saying, yeah, we'll no longer match the track shape. Yes, that's right. But what we're going to do is enter a bunch of shaping points along the route to make sure it does keep matching the track, and that means that as while you're riding, if you deviate, it will auto take you to the next shaping point. So we've got one in there, and you can see, for example, here it's gone the wrong way. So let's stick in another one. We just need to keep inserting them until. So hold down Alt and oops, click like that. We want it to go this way, and we want to go here. So Alt, drag to there. Yep, that's falling the right way. Even if there's no deviation, it's a good idea to have a few every so often anyway. So let's stick another one in there. So it won't actually change anything, but the point is we've got a point. So if someone, if say there's a roadblock here and you start going around this way or some other way, it's going to take you back to this point here. the shaping points, you see a little black dot, so we've got a black dot there. Stick another one in here for good measure. We've got one there. Got one there. Shouldn't need one here because it's straight to the end. So swallow that down. And zoom in. So I'm going to stick a shaping point there. So, we should. This is the direction. So I'm going to stick a shaping point here. Now, what actually happened here is we're going this way. We wanted to be going this way, but there was a roadblock, so we ended up going this way instead. I'm happy with that as it stands. I'll leave it going this way. But let's say you wanted to go through this part of town, which has a bit nicer. Actually, I'll do that now. Just drag that in. So there. There we go. It's a slightly lighter route through the town, even though it's deviating from the route we actually took. So let's follow this down. Put another shaping point in for good measure. You don't want to put too many in because the sat navs can't handle that, something like more than 20. And you can see it's wanting to route along the M27. We don't want that. We want to be coming along this route here. So I will drag a shaping point to here. It's matching the route. It's good, but I'll put another one in. There. So what's happening there is I'm holding down Alt and then dragging from the purple line. And let's just put one in here. And that should be fine. So if we now double click and look at this, these are shaping points. It says won't alert. Every so often, I don't know why, sometimes they come up as waypoints instead of shaping points. So this is a waypoint. What you need is you need it to be a shaping point. So you right click and choose don't alert on arrival, brackets shaping point. Okay. So we've got they're all grey like this. We've got a reasonable number of them. It's following the route that we want to take. Good name for the start and end. That's it. You can recalculate what have you. It doesn't matter. It's not going to make any difference. And that's it. We've now got our route. And you can port that into GPS. It doesn't really matter what settings that they've got there. It will follow it and it'll be nice and reliable, nice and clear, and good to use. So once you've done that, you can remove the track if you want. It's up to you, it makes no difference really. And then what you can do is highlight it and go export and save. And there you go, there's your GPX file. All done, all working. Now, just word of warning, it is important to make sure that these are shaping points, not waypoints. The reason is that waypoints don't auto skip. So what that means is, if you deviate from the route, it's going to try and it's going to really try hard to take you to that waypoint instead of the next shaping point, which completely screws everything up. And you end up having to go into sat nav and skip and blah blah blah. It's a pain. So just that extra bit of attention to detail, keep it nice and neat. You just got your start and your end, and these are great. Everything will be great. There we go. That's Digger's way of making routes. One thing that I forgot is that you need to give the route a decent name as well, because although the GPX file is called demo, when you import it into your anything, it's going to come up with a route called active log whatever, or whatever it happens to be. So what you need to do is give it a decent name. So to do that, just double click and give it a useful name, like where you're going to and from. So this is SHD to Army flying, for example. Again, I said earlier, you can leave the tracking or not, doesn't really matter. And then when you do your export, it will import with the right kind of names. I'd also recommend naming the GPX file the same as you name the route as well. So let's just do that. Name it to SHD Army. There we go. Then it's consistent, simple, easy to understand when you're trying to find it on your computer, etc. It's got the right name. There we go.